It's official there, British rock star Ozzy Osbourne has died at the age of 76.
The Prince of Darkness is gone. And honestly, I still can't believe I'm saying that. At 76, Ozzy Osbourne, the wild-eyed madman who redefined rock, freaked out parents everywhere and somehow survived everything life threw at him, has taken his final bow. But here's the thing, what he left behind might be even more powerful than the music. Because this isn't just another celebrity farewell, this goes way deeper. Since the news broke, the world's been shaken, not just by the loss, but by everything that's come out after. Tributes from legends, streets full of mourning fans, and behind the scenes, whispers of something massive in the works, a tribute concert bigger than anyone imagined, a rumored knighthood, maybe even a side of Ozzy the public never saw. This video isn't just about what happened, it's about what's still happening. And by the end of it, I promise, you'll see Ozzy in a way you've never seen him before. So stick with me, because this story, it's wild, it's emotional, and it might just change the way you remember one of rock's most chaotic legends forever. The day the world stopped, Ozzy's death. On a quiet morning that instantly turned deafening, the world got the news no one was ready for. Ozzy Osbourne was dead. Confirmed at age 76, the announcement came with a simple, heartbreaking statement. He passed peacefully, surrounded by love. His family, including wife Sharon and children Jack and Kelly, shared their grief with the world but kept one detail vague: the cause of death. No specifics, no timeline, just silence. And that silence, it exploded. Within hours, tributes poured in from rock legends, actors, fans, and even political leaders across the globe. Social media turned into a memorial wall. Black Sabbath trended. Candles lit up Hollywood Boulevard. But if you knew Ozzy, you knew this wasn't the kind of story that ends quietly. Because for a man who defied death again and again, surviving overdoses, near-fatal accidents, and decades of total chaos, the bigger question wasn't how Ozzy died, but how he lived long enough to become immortal. Born for mayhem, the man behind the madness, Ozzy Osbourne was never meant to be a polished rock star. He wasn't built for red carpets or clean interviews. He was chaos in human form, a walking storm with eyeliner and a scream that could shake the heavens. From the earliest days of Black Sabbath, Ozzy didn't just perform, he detonated. Unpredictable, raw, and terrifying to the establishment, he turned every show into a test of survival. Who could forget the infamous bat incident, when he bit the head off a live bat on stage, thinking it was rubber? That wasn't a gimmick. That was Ozzy, a man whose concerts came with a question, not what would happen, but if he'd make it to the end of the night. He stumbled, he shouted, he bled, and somehow fans couldn't look away. They weren't just watching a show, they were watching a man dangle off the edge of life and win. And through all that madness, he showed up, again and again, relentless until the end. Ozzy Osbourne didn't just burn bright, he burned relentlessly. Long after his peers faded or fell into nostalgia, Ozzy kept going. Even when his body began to betray him, the tremors, the surgeries, the chronic pain, he still hit the stage. He still gave you Ozzy. This was a man battling Parkinson's, recovering from spinal injuries, and barely able to walk without assistance, yet somehow still belting out Crazy Train like his life depended on it. He refused to become a parody of himself. No backing tracks, no lip syncing, just raw aging power and the kind of stage presence that couldn't be replicated. Even as his voice wavered, the fire never did. You weren't watching a legend cling to relevance, you were watching a warrior refuse to bow. But behind the screams and stunts was a vulnerable soul few people ever really saw. The battles you didn't see. For all the fire and fury on stage, Ozzy Osbourne's real battles were fought in silence, backstage, at home, in the dark corners of his mind. He never pretended to be clean-cut or flawless. He spoke openly, even painfully, about his addictions, his depression, and the chaos he caused. Drugs, alcohol, violence, regret. Ozzy never sugarcoated any of it, and that brutal honesty made fans love him even more. He didn't rewrite his past, he owned it. Every mistake, every relapse, every apology. And while the world saw the Prince of Darkness, those close to him knew the man who leaned heavily on his wife, Sharon Osbourne, the woman who quite literally kept him alive. Through every scandal, every overdose, every near-death spiral, Sharon was the one constant stabilizing his descent. Their love wasn't perfect, but it was powerful, and that raw, wounded humanity is what made Ozzy more than a rock god. It made him real. That honesty made him relatable, but it also made his loss feel deeply personal. A world in mourning. When news of Ozzy Osbourne's death broke, it wasn't just a headline, it was a gut punch felt around the world. Vigils lit up the streets of Birmingham, his gritty hometown, while fans gathered in Los Angeles near his star on the Walk of Fame, leaving candles, bats, and handwritten notes soaked in tears. On Spotify and Apple Music, his music surged over 900%, a digital resurrection of a voice that had defied time. YouTube exploded with tribute videos, rare concert clips, and interviews resurfacing in the millions. Hashtags like Ozzy and Prince of Darkness Forever trended globally, while candlelight events popped up in cities from Tokyo to Berlin. Fans inked his lyrics into their skin, some dressed in full Sabbath black just to post one final message: "Thank you, Ozzy." But the tributes didn't stop there. Legacy in motion, concerts, foundations, and the future. Ozzy may be gone, but his legacy is anything but silent. Behind the scenes, a massive tribute concert at Wembley Stadium is already in the works, a global celebration of chaos, grit, and unforgettable music. But this isn't just about honoring a rock star. A legacy foundation is being shaped in his name, aimed at supporting mental health initiatives and music education for the next generation of misfits and dreamers. And the fans? They're still fighting for his recognition. A posthumous knighthood petition has crossed 500,000 signatures and shows no sign of slowing down. Meanwhile, rumors swirl that Sharon is preparing a deeply personal memoir, and a definitive Ozzy documentary is already in production. But even with all the awards, the concerts, the tributes, for many, Ozzy was more than headlines or honors, the blueprint he left behind. Ozzy didn't just make music, he carved a blueprint into the soul of rock. Bands like Metallica, Slipknot, and even Post Malone have all pointed to the Prince of Darkness as a major influence, not just musically, but spiritually. He didn't chase perfection, he chased truth. Raw, messy, and unfiltered, he helped birth an entire genre, redefining what rebellion looked and sounded like. Ozzy lived loudly, failed in front of the world, and somehow came back stronger every time. That resilience wasn't polished, but it was real, and that's why fans trusted him. It wasn't just the riffs or the scream, it was the man who never pretended to be anything he wasn't. And that spirit, defiant, chaotic, unapologetic, didn't die with him. The final word, what Ozzy really stood for. In the end, Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a musician, he was a movement. The music was iconic, yes, but it was never the full story. What he really gave the world was resistance, survival, a reason for every misfit, every outsider, every broken soul to keep pushing forward. He stood as proof that you could be flawed, loud, and out of control, and still matter, still rise, still inspire. Ozzy didn't just leave behind albums, he left behind a philosophy: be loud, be broken, be fearless, be you. That was his message, that was his magic, and that's why he'll never truly be gone. But even now, the story might not be over. Whispers are swirling that Sharon Osbourne's upcoming memoir could reveal something fans never expected: a final confession, a private battle, or a truth Ozzy kept hidden until the end. Rumors also suggest Ozzy had been working in secret on unreleased tracks with some massive names. Think global artists, the kind you wouldn't expect in a heavy metal studio. And online sleuths are convinced that a crossover tribute, blending rock legends with today's biggest pop stars, is being quietly organized behind the scenes. Could this be Ozzy's last surprise? One more shock to the system from the Prince of Darkness himself. If you felt this story, smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss what's next, and share this video with someone who still cranks Crazy Train like it just dropped. Ozzy may be gone, but his chaos lives on. See you in the next video.